Hello, excuse the mess. We're in my workspace, and we're going to do a little video about a piece of technology. I've done a couple of videos about this piece that I have, and it's my EcoTank, my Epson ET-8550 photo printer, or EcoTank photo printer. I've had it for a while now, and I use it a lot. I use it pretty much exclusively for making cards. So whenever I do a painting that I think might make a nice card, I just print them off, and it works perfectly for what I'm using it for. It it is listed as a lab quality printer, and yes, it is a lab quality printer. It is not the highest grade printer, say, for that Epson makes. Um, if you were doing, say, fine art photography and you were selling your prints in a high-end art gallery, this wouldn't be the printer you would want. There's another one that I forget the name of it, but there's a higher grade than this, and it isn't an EcoTank. It uses the cartridges, and but I'm not a photographer, and I'm not selling my art cards in a high-end gallery, but I am selling my art cards, and they are what they are. They're greetings cards. So they're not really intended to last 100 years, but I want them to look good. And this is actually giving me great results for what I want. And I did a lot of research, and I was thinking about it, and we've all been there. You buy a printer on sale, or a printer that's inexpensive, and you use it for a while, and then you need to go get a cartridge. And when you go to the store, you find out that the cartridge is more expensive than the printer. Or the new, or things like that. So I wanted something high quality and affordable. So I went with an EcoTank. What is an EcoTank? Essentially, there are these little reservoirs right here. You can see them. There are 6 of them. And it doesn't use cartridges. It uses bottled ink. These are the Epson 552 series. This is the ones you use in this printer. I wouldn't use anything else. Use the ones that the printer suggests, 552. And the ink comes in bottles. So now I've actually when I bought the printer, it came with a whole set of inks. I filled it up, and I essentially had, it was a little bit more than each, like I filled it up, and there was, say, like a quarter of a bottle left for most of the colors. And I recently, used all the bottles that it came with. But I've been doing a fair amount of printing and full color, and it has worked really well. I still have almost full charge of blacks. I believe that's the red, but there are a couple colors that I'm seen to be using, and one of the grays. So I'm going to refill those, and I'm going to show you how it's done. And it's actually a really clever system. It's very handy. I think when you're thinking, well, I have to take bottled ink and put it into these reservoirs. What happens if I put the wrong color in the wrong reservoir? These are designed so that that can't happen. Each of these has a special opening on the bottle that aligns to the correct reservoir. So I'll show you that in a minute. These are just some of the works I've been doing, printing off Christmas cards and having fun doing that. So you can see I'm using pretty vibrant colors, and I'm getting pretty exact reproductions. So with this printer, I have an app on my phone. I just download it from the App Store, and I run everything. I go into Photoshop, get the card set up how I want it, and then I email it to myself. I open up the app, and then I connect to my printer. It works perfectly. Now, So, what do we have? I bought this. I bought these at two different places, actually. I bought this at Best Buy, and they didn't have the grays, so I went on Epson.ca and I got the blacks and the grays. And actually, Epson.ca was probably the cheapest place that I could find, actually, to buy it. It was a far better price than, say, Amazon, things like that. So you got your bottles. I'm just going to pop these out. So this is cyan, magenta, yellow. You have a gray. Okay. You have two blacks. One is a pigment black and one is a dye-based black. And the machine will decide which one you need. And oddly enough, I don't seem to be going through the blacks that fast. But since I actually don't need to refill them, I have a pretty much full charge. But since I was ordering, I got two blacks just to have. It's always good to have stuff on hand. Doesn't take that long. I literally ordered those 2 days ago. They were here today. But I do need to refill my gray, and a couple of other colors. So we're going to show you how to do that. Now, there's a scanner on this printer. I use the scanner a little bit, but mostly I use my phone. I take a photo, and phones today, you can take awfully good photos. So that opens up, and inside you have this little lid here. You lift it up, and you have a key that shows you which one the colors are. So this is the BK, I believe, is the dye-based black, pigment black, and so on, right? And the one I need to fill is, not surprisingly, is the cyan. I use a lot of blues in my paintings, and of course, I'm going to be going through blues a lot. Blue is one of my favorite colors. So you undo this, pop that out, and now you see these little shapes on the side. This will help you. This will ensure that you don't put this in the wrong reservoir, right? So cyan, and it just sits in here. Okay. Line that up. And I can feel it filling up. And you're probably wondering, well, what happens if it overflows? Now, I don't exactly know how this works, but it's designed so that when the reservoir is full, it will stop. And so far, I've not had a problem with it overfilling. It will go to the full line and stop. And it stopped. No mess. Can't really tell how much is left in there. Probably a half bottle. Feels like a half bottle. I'll know when the dye settles down off the side. And then the next one I will fill is my magenta. I seem to be low on magenta. I'm going to fill all the colors, but sorry for hitting the camera here. Now, I did do a little light test on one of my cards. A couple months ago, I put it in the front window just to see how it holds up. You open up the lid, take the bottle. Notice that? It's impossible to get that all over yourself. Well, I shouldn't say it's impossible. If you really worked at it, I'm sure you could get that everywhere, but you would have to really work at it. So that goes in. And I can feel that. Gosh, I'm just hitting the camera like crazy. I can feel that going in. And when it fills, it's going to stop. And I gotta be honest, I don't know how much the actual count of cards that I've printed is, but I've printed hundreds. And really what I'm doing is just topping it up. So that's full. See? No ink on me. I love that design. It works so well. And you just close the lid. I'm going to put a little, I don't need a lot of yellow, but I'm going to fill it up. Once again, take that off. Oh, it does. Oops. Well, I proved myself wrong. Wow. Okay. Ah, boy. Anyway, don't do that again. My hand is now yellow. Oops. That's going to fill up. So don't do that again, I guess. Would be the lesson. It shouldn't have done that. And you know what? You learn, don't you? So that's full. Huh. Anyway, it shouldn't have done that, but it did. So don't do what I just did. All right, now then, I'm going to put the gray in. My blacks, for whatever reason, I don't seem to use a lot of black in my printing. Wonder why that is. Yes, I can spill ink. I'm kind of surprised by that. Anyway, I have spilt more things on myself. But anyway, that kind of work. No, I guess if you hit it hard enough. So that is the gray, yeah. So that's just going to go in here, and that will fill up. I can feel it going in. You can sort of feel like when you put your fingers on the bottom of the bottle, you can feel this little gurgling feeling, you know, as it goes in. But it doesn't overflow. Like, it won't spill like when you have it set up like that. Yes, if you're a fool like me and you give it a good hard whack, you can get it all over yourself. But hey. Now, there we go. So all my reservoirs are now filled. And that actually should last me probably, gosh, I don't know, probably several more months. Put that in there. So then you just put that down. Now, if you're moving your printer, there's a little switch back here that you just put into a lock position, and that if you had to say like pick up the printer and move it to another table, maybe if you're moving house it would work. I don't know. I haven't tried it, but I have. Whenever I move the printer around, I flip this little lever into a lock position, and then you just put it back when you're done. And so you close that, and you're good to go. Now, I should grab the light fast sample I've done just to see what it's like. And I don't have an original sample near here, but this was sitting in a window, southern exposure. I would say there's a little bit of fading, but that was like in a window. There's condensation on the window. There's because it's colder now, but it gets direct sunlight, and I can see that some colors have faded, and that is what I expected. But the fact is, I still have an image that looks pretty intense and still vibrant colors and hasn't shifted that much. I'm not designing these to sell in an art gallery as prints or fine art prints. I could do these as little reproductions and frame them up, and if you hang it under a piece of glass indoors, on a wall away from direct sunlight, it would last a lot longer than this, and this is held up far better than I expected. And now, as I'm saying, if you are a photographer and you wanted to print your own prints or, find photos, whatever, you would use a different machine than this. And this has 6 colors. The high-end printers would have, say, 12, and they would use individual cartridges. And so your cartridges, and the fact that you're using, 12 cartridges, the cost of replacing those is very high. But if you're selling your prints for thousands of dollars each, then yes, that's what you do. But if you're an artist who's wanting just to make cards that you're going to sell, say, online or at a craft fair or in a retail shop of some form, this is a great machine to have. It's the Epson ET-8550. It's not an inexpensive machine, but it's not the most expensive machine out there. And I think with the individual bottles, as long as you don't take it and spray it all over yourself, you're going to have a very economical machine to use for a small business, which is what I'm doing, right? So, yeah. And you're going to get, when you go into Photoshop, you're going to be able to adjust the colors so you're more exact. I'm using my phone because, oddly enough, the phone camera that I have takes a good photo if you do it under proper conditions, light and stuff like that. And it works quite well. The best camera that you can get is the camera you have with you, that you always have on you, which is in most people's cases their phone, right? So smartphone technology has come a long way. What else can I say? Now, I'm not well, let's just be honest. Like, just because you have a good printer and you're printing cards doesn't mean you're going to necessarily sell your cards. That's a whole other thing. Is your work something that somebody wants to buy, or is it a subject matter that might be interesting? I'm not making all of my paintings into art cards, and some of them sell better than others because it's, some of my images just don't translate as cards. But every now and then I'll do something with the intention of a card, a little bit more folk art based or something like that, or whimsical, and those sell well, But some of my more complex or darker works, they don't necessarily sell. But but anyway, it's fun to do. It's a good tool to have. Being an artist is all about revenue streams, finding different revenue streams that you can use to help make a living with. And this is another tool that I have, and it's been very helpful, and it works really easily for me. And I like the fact that you buy bottles of ink rather than individual expensive cartridges. The bottles themselves, $22, something like that, a bottle, right, for these, roughly works at around there. And if you look online, you can probably find them cheaper, but make sure you are using the correct number to your machine. You don't want to go gumming everything up. So anyway, I hope you liked the video, and if you're new around here, I invite you to subscribe, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. That helps. And if you have any comments, let me know in the comments. And yes, I was saying that it's hard to spill these, and I managed to do it. But anyway, they don't overflow anyway when you put them in when you use them properly. And for whatever reason, that one did spray me. So if you have any idea how to get yellow off your hands, well, actually, I know how to do it. But anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.